How can we have simple, different shifts in our mind? The first one is our perspective. How we look at something may often determine the view that we have of it, which turns into our point of view, which turns into maybe, hey, this is what I think, and I'm right, but maybe you're not right? We're shaped by what it is that we think. Let me ask you this question. Is this a sunset or a sunrise? How many of you think it's a sunrise? Raise your hand. Okay, how many think it's a sunset? Raise your hand. Okay, but they said it was a sunrise, and you're saying it's a sunset. That table over there is right. Anybody want to disagree with them? Yeah. Well, I took this photo on the East Coast, and it is a sunrise. But the truth is what you look for, you will eventually find. And you know what? If I go back to that picture right here, you could convince me it's a sunset as well. Because sometimes how we look at things determines how we see it. And sometimes we just need to pause for a moment and go, help me understand. Help me understand why you think that's a sunset and I think it's a sunrise. Our minds matter, but what we look for, we will find. So the question is what are we looking for? Our attitude. Our attitude matters. John Maxwell talks about attitude isn't everything, but you know what? It is a difference maker. And what I can also tell you is that people tend to adopt the attitudes of the people around them. How many of you like to be around someone that we can call a bad apple? No, right? How about the person that has that really great attitude? Sometimes we don't even know what kind of attitude we have when we walk into a room. But once again, guess what? We get to choose. We get to choose to be a carrot. We get to choose to be an egg. We get to choose to be a coffee bean and strive to make everything around us better. And when we strive to make everything around us better, we walk into that room and we try to have an attitude that is worth sharing with another person. I also know that people project on the outside what they're feeling on the inside. So sometimes when you walk into that room and you see someone who has maybe not the best attitude, hey, what's wrong? Is there anything I can do to help you today? Because what I do know is that a bad attitude is super contagious and more contagious than a good attitude. And we want our fellow teammates, our fellow colleagues, peers, hey, what's going on? Because attitude, it can change everything. It's a huge difference maker. And oftentimes we can make our attitude our greatest asset. When we're facing hard, when we're having a bad day, and the journey today feels like it's way uphill, if we walk and we respond to with a better attitude, it might seem just a tiny bit easier. True? False? Anybody agree or disagree on that? Yeah, but we get to choose. We get to choose. Our mindset matters. Once again, when we're faced with that uphill battle, because we know everything worthwhile is uphill. Things are not just going to slide into your lap all the time. We have to work for it. All the work that the amazing people are doing here to advocate, right? Is that easy? No, there's challenge, there's obstacle, right? But you were made for hard. I was made for hard. Because the hard is worth doing. What I can share with you is a story of someone who I've gotten to know very well over the years. This particular person, it's a personal story, right, of this particular person. And it started at the time when she was being carried by her mother. She was told, that mother, that young 45-year-old mom, was told, you should not have this baby. This baby inside of you is going to have a very hard time being born. And not only will she have a really hard time being born, you may not survive it yourself. Our best recommendation is for you to end this pregnancy. This mother was very, very determined to carry this baby. She fired that doctor, went to another doctor. That doctor told her the same story. Your heart is too weak to carry a child. You're older than average. She was 45 when she got pregnant. Advances in medicine were not there at that time. We're going to lose you. We're going to lose the baby. It's too risky. She once again said, well, I can either fire you or you can help me bring this baby into the world. What she taught in that statement is, it's not a matter of can I, but how can I? Are you going to team up with me to provide me the safest possible way to bring this baby into this world? Or are you just going to tell me all the reasons why I can't do it? Another example, my brother. He has stage 4 cancer. He went through some really life-altering, changing surgeries. He's in a brace. He is, has some developmental disabilities in his body, physical disabilities. They told him he was never going to be able to walk again. And he said, oh, just watch me. Just watch me. A year after rehab, which bless his heart, he's still here with us. He's able to walk with that brace. Not very far, but he got himself up. And he's able to walk across the floor. Our mind is a very powerful thing. Can I, or how can I? When we switch that around and go, can I, it leaves room to think that you can't. But when you ask the question, how can I, it leaves room for possibility of how can you do it. Going back to this young girl, she was born very healthy, 9-pound baby. Mom was okay as well. She started to grow up in her elementary years. She experienced what a lot of other maybe families experienced, a little bit of dysfunction in the family. Father was an alcoholic, high-functioning alcoholic, but she grew up with just not quite sure, is this what normal family looks like? As she continued to grow old, into her later teens, into graduating from high school, all the simple things that she encountered still were uphill. They were hard. She'd go to the dentist, have a root canal, which, don't recommend any of those. Oh, sorry, you got curvy roots. I got to close you up in the middle of the procedure and send you to a specialist. She'd go to the eye doctor, have an eye surgery complete. Oh, man, you got beady eyeballs. This is not going to work. Simple things. Have you ever been encountering simple things that should just be super simple? And they're just frustrating because something goes wrong. Those are the things that we share as we're human, as we encounter some of the hard. And once again, hard is so different for me compared to what it is for you and to the person sitting next to you. But we all can relate because we have to respond to hard. And how we respond to hard is up to us. Next came marriage for her. Next came family. Next came her career. She was a budding photographer, shot about 40 weddings a year, all the sports photography in the community, married to an amazing man, had a 3-year-old daughter, had a just shy of 8-month-old son. She truly was living her best life. She was just living her best life. Until all the to-dos started crashing in. There was so much to do, pulled in many directions. How many of you feel like that sometimes when you're on this journey and you're pulled in so many directions? It's exhausting, isn't it? It can wear us out. And when you're in that space where you're just trying to stay afloat, sometimes we have to make decisions. What do? We're in so deep, we got to just keep going. Oh, but I just need to take a break, but I don't have time to take a break. I just got to keep going. The day everything changed for her, all those pressures started to add up. The sleep deprivation started to settle in. She was driving home from taking her mother-in-law home, and she had the 2 kiddos with her. On her way home, 20 minutes from Mandan, she rolled her vehicle. She rolled her vehicle, and when it all landed on all fours, she turned around, and the car seat, where it was supposed to be, was gone with her 8-month-old baby. She crawled through the seats, found him in the ditch, still in his car seat. There was a gentleman who stopped his car, helped her out. The other child, 3-year-old, was still in the vehicle as well. They loaded them up, drove us into the hospital. 15 hours later, she and her husband made the hardest decision that they ever made in their life. They were told by the doctor, there's a chance of survival. But if that chance is there might be some brain issues. There might be some developmental challenges. It soon was very, very clear that the decision that they needed to make was to let their son go. As hard as it was, they knew it was the right decision. But just imagine for a moment what she was feeling. When this hard that she was facing became so real, and sometimes we just want to be that soggy carrot, and we just want to stay at the bottom of the pan because life just gets too hard. But what I can tell you is I know exactly what she was feeling because I was her. I was the mom who lost that boy that day. And what I can tell you is I asked myself questions over and over about why? Why? What if I would have done something different? But you know what? It didn't matter because it didn't change the outcome. And so many times when we deal with hard and that resilience muscle is stretching, we want to stay with why. We want to stay, well, if I would have done something different, we want to stay in the past. But what I recognize is that doesn't serve us. We often can't change some of those things. And what I also know is that what we choose to focus on will grow. If I chose to focus on all the what ifs and all the whys, I would not be here speaking to you today. What I chose to focus on is what can I learn because of this experience? What can I learn and teach and hopefully inspire someone else just to keep going because of what happened to me that day? And what I recognize is that my thoughts really have some power in my mind. There were moments where I sat there and I thought, what if and why, and Deb, you are so irresponsible, and Deb, why did you do this? I told myself every negative thing I possibly could tell myself. Because as a mother, I was supposed to protect my child. But you know what? I started to find the joy. I found the joy in today. It takes a lot of work, right, to find the joy some days. But I found the joy. Even in the hard, and that resilience muscle is being stretched, we find the joy. And if you look hard enough, there is some joy. There really is. Even in the darkest of things and the hardest of stuff, there is joy in all of it. What I also recognized is that this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And when I started to adopt that mindset, as sucky as it was to go, why did this happen for me instead of to me? It allowed me to go from the victim to be the victor. And to recognize that, you know what? This happened, I can't change it. But what I can change is how I move forward. I can change how to heal. I can change what it is that I'm going to do because of it. It allowed me to grow into the person that I was today. It allowed me to have this experience to share with you because, once again, the thing that connects us is we all encounter hard. We all do. But hard to me is different for me than it is for you. But you know what? Everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything worthwhile that we want to fight for, we want to advocate for, we want to make change for, it requires us to be fully present and to take that first step of courage. What I also know is that I was one decision away from a completely different outcome. If I would have stayed in that pot and became that soggy carrot, or maybe even the egg where I was bitter on the inside, because why me? Why me? I knew that it wouldn't serve me. I didn't know it right away, right? But I knew that I was one decision away from a completely different outcome. So as you're challenged with different hards today and your resilience muscle is needing to stretch and grow, just ask yourself, what's your challenge today? How can you respond to it? Is there a different way to respond for it? How can you make things better? Many of you advocate in here. How can you advocate for something better for all of us, for all of you? Right? What I also recognize is that every single day is a new day. It's a gift to be here. It's a gift to not be pushing daisies. It's a gift to be here. Yesterday ended last night. Today is a brand new day. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Today is a brand new day. You get to make a completely different day today than it was yesterday. And every single thing that you're encountering right now, it's conditioning you for the next thing. And as much as that kind of stinks sometimes because we're like, no, I've been conditioned enough. I don't need to learn anymore. We all are. We're continuing to be conditioned for what lies ahead, for that next hard. But the great news is, once again, is we get to choose. We get to choose how we respond. And it doesn't mean that you have to have rainbows and unicorns and flowers all the time. You can choose to be real with your feelings. You can choose to go, man, this sucks. But you know what? Someone's got to do it. And I think that's me. That's got to take that first step. Because you can do it. You are making a difference. And the question really is how will you choose? When you encounter hard, how will you choose? Will you be that egg? Will you be that carrot? Will you be that coffee bean? And I think it's also important, yesterday when I heard Sue talking about you matter, I already had my slides done for you all, but yes, you matter. And the thing that girl, me, didn't do was take care of herself. I took care of everybody else around me. Took care of everybody else around me. But I didn't take care of myself. And if any of you have ever been on an airplane, the flight attendant says, if the mask happens to go down, what do? Put it on first before you help the person next to you. You have to put your mask on first. So the question that, whatever you're doing today, because I heard from a few of you yesterday, like, man, I just caring for, taking care of, and constantly caring for others. What are you doing for yourself today? In life, there's this thing called balance. I don't believe that balance exists. What I do believe is that we can work toward a life of fulfillment. And what fulfillment looks like to me looks different for you. But what does fulfillment look like for you? And what I also know is in this moment of being in a place where you matter, you got to be thinking about your priorities. Ask yourself these questions. What is most important to you? Who is most important to you? Why are they important to you? Because when you start to recognize the things that matter most, you start to put them in a higher space where you just want to take care of them. What is most important for you? Who? Why? And the other thing I know, for all of you that are in this room here today, is that we need to set some boundaries. How many of you are really good about setting boundaries? Boundaries are not meant to keep people away. It's meant to teach others how you want to be held, how to interact with you. And what I also know, the girl here today, is I had to think about what it was that I could control, what it was that I could not control, and things that I could influence. There's many things in our life that we go ahead and we experience. And there's many things that if we focus on them, man, why am I focused on that? I can't even control the outcome, right? Or, wow, I can control the outcome. Put your energy into that, not into the things that you can't control. Maybe there's something that you can't control, but you know what? You can help influence. I know I can help so-and-so with this particular project or with this particular bill or with this particular advocacy moment. You can help. You may not be able to control it, but you can help. And what I soon realized, too, is that control what you can and release the rest. How is it that we get so good about doing so many things, and sometimes we just keep hanging on to some things that we just know we can't control? It starts to weigh us down, doesn't it? We need to learn how to release the rest. And what I also know is that we can't forget to take care of ourselves. We really can't forget to take care of ourselves. If there's 1% a day, which is 14.4 minutes, I want you all to be challenged to go ahead and commit to doing something for 14.4 minutes a day for yourself. Now, some people in here might be going, wow, that's really easy, Deb. That's only 1% of my day. But the truth is how many times do we look back at the end of a busy day and we recognize that, wow, I really never did anything for myself today? Anybody in that space? Yeah, because we're so busy taking care of other people. So I want you to choose to take care of yourself. I also know, once again, as this girl, me, went through this experience, it was the hardest experience that she's ever had to go through. And I can tell you that there's been a lot of hard since then. Just because I had a super hard experience, I am not protected to have more hard experiences. We just experienced a traumatic loss a month ago. It just continues, right? But the thing that keeps us going is we get to choose how I'm going to show up. We get to choose, hey, I know I need to be put in a bubble and have some self-care time. But I also know that there's joy on the other side of it once we get through it. And I also know that I've done many things to try to build that resilience muscle within me and just to continue to have grit and just to keep going. Because we do get to choose. So it's encouraging you all to choose wisely, right? I also want to encourage all of you, because I hear this often when I speak, when I meet with people, when I coach people. It doesn't matter if I'm here in the United States or around the globe, serving and adding value to people. We often undervalue ourselves. We often think that, oh, I'm just a person over here. I'm just Deb. You're not just anyone. You are you. And step into that 100% and be bold and be you, because you were here and you are here to make a difference. There is somebody that needs your voice to be shared with them. There is somebody out there that needs your story to be told to them. There's somebody here that needs you to encourage them. There's somebody here that sees you doing it and going, wow, because they're doing it, I can do it too. You may think that you're insignificant sometimes. You may think that you're underestimating what you're capable of doing, but truly, the person that needs your voice won't listen to my voice because it's not going to be the voice that they need to hear. It's your voice that they need to hear. It's your voice that they need to hear. And it doesn't mean that you have to be up on a stage and share it with a whole bunch of people. What it means is that, hey, how are you? How's your day going today? Tell me more about what's your biggest challenge? How can I help you? When we start to see and recognize that every single one of us has this story and every single one of us is carrying hard, we as humans just need to slow down a little bit. We need to connect with the other person. We need to find out, how are you doing? But how are you really doing? Because our normal answer is, oh, fine, good. But are you fine? Are you good? Your voice matters. You are making a difference. And you will continue to make a difference. There is a person out there or two that needs to hear you and your voice. So don't underestimate what you're capable of doing. And I want you to remember this coffee bean. And I'm so grateful that you heard it on Sunday as well. But I want you to remember this coffee bean, because when you have an experience where it's just hard, Every single hard experience that you have is conditioning you for that next hard experience. And there will be someone that is experiencing things that maybe are a little bit further behind, and they just haven't encountered the hard that you've encountered. You can provide them that encouragement. You can provide them that courage. You can provide them that, hey, you can do this. Because every single person needs encouragement. We really do. We need encouragement. And what I also know is on the other side of that encouragement and that hard, there's a lot of hope. And I love this acronym of HOPE, which is having only positive expectations. In that path of dead ends, speed bumps, wrong turns, broken pavement, there was a light at the end of that tunnel. And that light at the end of that tunnel represents the hope. And one of the biggest things that I just know for myself of being the person that has experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of traumatic experiences over my lifetime, is that light is there if we look for it. It may take a little while to see it, and we might not see it right away, but when we start to put our mind going, okay, this happened, but you know what? My hope means have only positive experience. I'm going to look for the thing that I want to find. I'm going to be real with what is and deal with that and go through that. But at the end of that, I know I've made a decision today that I am going to only have a positive expectation at the end of it. And once again, it doesn't mean that it's going to be exactly as I have it planned out. But what it does mean is that I am going to find that light at that end of that tunnel where that U-turn took me down a path where I just wish I didn't have to go. So what I want to do here today is, I know that they had asked me if I wanted to do some Q&A time as well, maybe potentially wrap up just a few minutes early, but I want to open up the floor to all of you to possibly ask some questions or give some comments. Anybody have anything that they want to share or ask? You're so smiley. I love it. Yeah. You have enjoyed this day? Awesome. What a blessing, right? Yeah. We're glad that you're here. Any comments, any questions? Oh, go ahead. I think I saw, oh, that's Shannon. Yeah. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
When you're on the airplane, if the mask goes on, I always thought of helping your person first and then yourself next. Always help others before you help yourself.
Yeah.
Because you want to put others before you.
Of course.
But thank you. I love you.
Yeah. Well, and that is just us, right? We have such beautiful hearts where we just want to help everybody. But so many times, especially in this particular, type of setting, it's where we just want to help and we forget about ourselves, and we need to pause and we need to think about ourselves, right? So that we can take care of ourselves and be able to help that next person. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Right over here. I can repeat it too. Go ahead and ask the.
You were talking about boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've set up like boundaries, like with a friend.
Yeah.
And she crossed the boundaries, so I've lost a friendship because that person didn't respect me enough.
Yeah.
But I think boundaries is very, very important.
I do a lot of training on boundaries, and you're 100% right. It is so important. And when I go back to that definition, it's not about keeping people out, right? That is one of the outcomes that happens, but it's more about how do you want to be held? And what are those, how do you create boundaries for yourself? And for me, it's number one, understanding my values. What are my values? Because first and foremost, what I've learned because of my car accident is I didn't have boundaries. I said that my values were my husband and my kids and my faith, right? But you know what? My husband and my kiddos were getting the burnt out, really tired, exhausted mom and wife. They weren't getting the person that was taking care of herself. And so that was my biggest shift of going, the life-defining moment for me was, okay, if I want a different outcome, I need to do things differently. And the first thing that needed to be was the boundaries. What is it that I value? Do you all know what you value? Do you? Let me ask you the question, if you know what you value, are those the things that you're protecting? Yeah, and what are you willing to do when someone violates that? Because not only are they violating your boundary, they're violating your trust, right? And you feel disrespected. And and then you got to make the decision, will you get that friendship back? Will you trust them again? No. Some people will, yeah. But some people won't, right? And that's okay. It's a personal decision based on that situation. Yeah, boundaries are so important. Do you have good boundaries? How is it that you want to be held? How do you teach people to interact with you? Yeah. Any other question? Go ahead.
Yeah, my workers say I'm a too giving person.
Mm-hmm.
And you just give. And I can't help it. I'm just that kind of person. I grew up that way.
Yeah. Has that gotten you into trouble at all? He's saying that he's just a giver, loves to give. Any other givers in the room? I think you're in a room with familiar people.
It's gotten me into trouble.
Yeah.
But I learned, I just can't learn to say no. I just like to give. I've always been that way.
Yeah. So do you have a challenge with that right now? Yeah. Do you have a question in there, or do you just want to share with us?
I'm trying to say no.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part. I'm working on it.
Sometimes saying no is a really hard thing to do. And so if we change our mindset around, it's not no permanently, but it's just no for now. And what I've learned is because I've also had to say no. When this happened and hard happened to me, it's like, okay, I can't do everything. I can't be a super mom. I can't be a super wife, a super worker, a super everything to everyone else. I had to learn that 2-letter word, no. And it's hard. But what I've learned and how I can help other people when they would ask me is I would say, thank you so much for thinking of me. As much as I would love to, but right now I'm not able to. But let me tell you and refer maybe somebody else that could do that for you. So you're taking it away from you having to be the person to do it, and maybe you can help them by connecting them to someone else that could do it. And then you feel less guilty. Because oftentimes as humans, we guilt ourselves into going, well, we should have done this, but we didn't do this, and so now we have to do this. But we got to release that guilt, right? We got to just release it. And we go, hey, well, you can't do it, but maybe she can. And there might be somebody else out there. Deidre and I have done that multiple times where I'm like, hey, can you do this or can you not? Yeah, I'm going to have to say no. Let me introduce you to my friend. Let me introduce you to my colleague. Or Julie or Shannon, right? It's a matter of building that network up of other people that maybe you can refer so that you can say no. And the other thing I would share with you is no. Get ready for this one. You might want to write this one down. No is a complete sentence. You do not need to offer any excuse or any explanation on why you can't. It can be as simple as no, but thank you. It's hard, but I'm gonna call you up next week one day and I'm gonna say, hey, and I'm gonna let you practice saying no to me. I'm gonna ask some hard things of you next week. I think everybody in the room should do that for him, right? Don't you agree? Let's get him practicing that no muscle. But it's true though, I mean, and especially, we're human beings. We love to help. That's how we're made up, right? Is we want to help. But we also have to be very proactive. We gotta protect ourselves. I imagine, another big thing that I did after my loss is I heard someone speak about 3 different balls. And just pretend I'm up here juggling these balls, right? Some of these balls are plastic, some of these balls are glass, some of these balls are rubber. And if I'm juggling all these balls, what happens to that rubber ball if it falls out of my juggling? It bounces. Maybe, does it bounce directly to you? No. You really no idea where it's going to bounce. What happens to that plastic one if it bounces and drops out of your juggle? Drop, may have a dent in it. Maybe think of a ping pong ball, right? They're pretty fragile. What happens to that glass ball if it drops? It breaks and it shatters. And so a beautiful analogy I was told shortly after this happened is, Deb, you need to create some boundaries. You need to learn how to say no. And you need to keep the things that are important to you sacred. Those things that are important to me, put them on that glass ball. And when I'm juggling, I got my family on a glass ball. Now, work, should that go on a glass ball or should that go on a rubber ball? Right? It's important, but it's not going to shatter. Because sometimes we can't always make work before us. We need to take care of us. So keep the things important to you close. Put those on those glass balls and just imagine if you're juggling them and if it drops, what's going to happen? How will that change your life? I am so very grateful that my husband and I were still together. Our beautiful son Isaac would be 18, graduate last in 2023. And actually just a couple days from now is my anniversary of losing him. But you know what? I'm so very grateful. I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to learn and to grow and to create those boundaries and say no. And to understand what is important to us and keeping them sacred, right? And to find that hope. Other questions, other comments? Did you find what I was sharing? Oh, you got a question. Go ahead. Do you want to say it? I can repeat it. I don't know if we have a microphone near. Yeah. Mm.
And then I help babies.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, but I love and kind, beautiful kids, and I helpful. And my mom is very helpful, and she is guardian, and she tried to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'd
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
We can listen.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was beautiful.
Sounds like you have a wonderful mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here, and we're glad that you help care for all those that you get to care for. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
I prayed for my mother's for my heart for her for cancer, and she's alive. I thought she was gonna make it, but she did.
Yeah,
So,
celebrating you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. Any other questions or any other comments before we close out here today? Did you find what I said of value?
Yes.
What's your takeaway? What are you going to go home after I'm done talking here today? What are you going to implement? Learn to say no.
Try to set boundaries.
Try to set up some boundaries? Yeah. What else? Don't overwork yourself. And if you do overwork yourself, make sure you're working in the right space, right? Like doing the right things on the right missions with the right energy. What else? Take time for yourself. Yes.
Things don't happen to me, they happen for me.
Yeah. And what you can learn from them, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. What else? Anything in the back rows? I know the front row learned a few things. How about the back row? Did you all learn anything? Or have a takeaway from today? What did you? Yeah. Right. Self first. Put that mask on first, right? Yeah. How about, JC, what did you learn here today? What was your takeaway? KJC, you're going to make me cry. Come on. That's not fair. I shouldn't have called on you. Thank you. You're so sweet. Well, as I mentioned, my hope here today was just to provide some encouragement to all of you and just to share that each and every one of you have a beautiful story that needs to be shared. And it doesn't need to be shared on a stage. It doesn't need to be shared in front of 50 or 100 or 200 people. It just needs to be shared with the person right in front of you. We have no idea what goes on in other people's minds. We have no idea. And our job as a human is to connect. Just to connect with them. Make that person feel and know that they matter, because they do, just like all of you. With that, I'm just going to say thank you for being here with me today. I'm so grateful to be able to add value to you. If you have further questions, I'll be around for a little while yet, but thank you. I appreciate all of you.
Okay, wasn't that fantastic? Deb's amazing, isn't she? She's one of my best friends, one of my mentors, one of my coaches, and I just love it when we get to work together. We spent many years working together, so it's fun that we get to do it periodically. We were given a flyer kind of late today, and so we didn't get that out about an upcoming training coming up, so I just sprinkled that on some of the tables. Take a look at that. I just want to remind you, if you are in the parking ramp, to grab one of these, the yellow strip on it, so you don't get charged. If you need, you need one, okay. If you need mileage reimbursed, you'll want to fill that form out and leave it here today, and we'll get that taken care of. Who's here for the prizes, though? I know, right? This table. Yes, those who stay prevail, right? So I know we've got a giveaway from Adeline's Believers. So if you want to come up and give us your name, we'll do that one. In the meantime, we're going to pull up a slide with a QR code. We do need feedback, and that's how you get entered into the giveaways that we've got up here. So please take a minute, scan that.
Take their name out of there.
Yep. Go ahead and scan that and complete the survey. As that's happening, Connie already got a head start on gathering your name badges. I need your name badge. If you're in here and you complete that survey, I am going to throw that into a bucket, and we've got 4 giveaway prizes that we're doing today. If anybody needs a paper copy of the survey, just give me a wave, okay, instead of the electronic one. Okay, all right, so I'll come around with a couple of paper copies. But if you could, we're going to give everybody about 5 minutes to scan in and complete that survey. Okay, I think I see most everybody completed. If you're still working on it, please continue, but let's get this drawing done so those that are done can head out. So let's start with the s'more pack. Will you pick for us, Toby? Who's gonna win this and take home the s'more pack? All right. She's gonna pick. Who are you gonna pick? You have to pick a different one?
I'm not taking it home.
They already said they're not taking their own gift home. Oh, Adeline, you're so sweet. You knew. You knew. That's perfect. Lindsay Solberg, I'm so glad you're still here. Yay. Yes, you get to take the s'more pack. Please do. Thank you. Yes, let's give it a round. I think Renee had to leave already, but thank you, Lindsay. We appreciate you being here so much. Okay, and then there was also, let's put you back in here. That's a great. I will say the other reason is that you won the mug. So,
I did?
yes. So I'm like, you can't win 2 prizes either. So there you go. So a couple of our booths did do prizes as well. So the other things that we are giving away is the orange bag. So I'll draw for that. And then we're doing 3 of the bouquets of flowers, the beautiful calla lilies. All right, so I'm just going to pick 3. The first one, she already won one. Boy, your name is, how many times did you put your name in the drawing? Okay, the first one we're going to do is the bag. And Colin, you won the orange bag, so I will bring that back to you in a moment. Okay, the next one. Who's going to take home some flowers? Connie, that's what you get for putting in that work. So you can come grab a bouquet of flowers. Next one. Jason Kuntz, are you still here? All right, Jason, you get some beautiful flowers. And then the last one goes to, empty one. Katrina, you get to take some flowers with you. Some beautiful calla lilies right up front here. So come get those. You can enjoy those. I think you're here for at least another night. She's going to re-gift them, it sounds like, because she's heading on an airplane. Well, thank you. That is very sweet of you. All right, that is a wrap on our conference for 2023. Thank you all. Again, if you didn't finish your survey, please take that time. Also submit additional ideas for content and speakers for next year. Thank you so much. Have a safe travel home. And Family Feud again. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Connie. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next year.